Hello, welcome back to another video of my opinions about classical music. In today's video we are going to talk about the pictures at an exhibition, and more specifically the part named Samuel Goldenberg und Schmuyle. But before we get started, I would like to ask you to subscribe if you feel like subscribing. No pressure on that though if you don't want to, and press the like button if you like this content, but also no pressure on that. Okay, so to start off, I want to mention that this part has had several different titles since it was published, and among them are Two Polish Jews, Rich and Poor, and of course the current title Samuel Goldenberg und Schmuyle, which was on Mussorgsky's original manuscript. The title also reflects the two different themes that are in this part, where the first one is this part right here, and the second one is this part, and the last part, up until the coda, which is this part here, is a combination of both the themes. So the first part here I'll name the Goldenberg part, because that's the part that has the theme that relates to Goldenberg. The Goldenberg part has three different fragments that I find interesting, though one of the fragments is technically a melody. And here they are in all pretty colors. I've chosen yellow or golden colors and red because of, golden, gold, and also gold as in sun rays and stuff, so heat and warmth. But anyway, these colorings will be useful later when I am going to look at the third part where the Goldenberg fragments and the Schmuyle fragments are combined. I think the most interesting of the three fragments is the melody, which has a very distinct ring to it. And the reason it sounds so distinct is because of the use of augmented seconds, which I will explain what is. If we start on a C on a piano and play the next white key up, then we have a major second, which is, as you may recognize, the start of a major scale. But an augmented second is a second where you make the second note half a step higher than it normally would be. So in this case, instead of going from C, you go to the D sharp. In the music, we have the notes G flat and an A, and normally you would go G flat, A flat to have a major second. But in this case, you instead go to an A natural, which would make an augmented second. And the reason he does this is because it hints at common Jewish modes, or scales as it can also be called. Which of course is perfect when you're describing two Polish Jews. I personally think that's a really clever way of doing things. You're not really using the mode, but you're taking hints from it. So I suggest we listen to this part, and I will highlight the fragments as they show up, so listen extra carefully when they do. Okay, so that was the first part. Let us move on to the second part. The thing about the second part I thought was the most curious is these repetitions. It may just be me, but I find it weird to have two repeated sections right after each other. Because usually when you repeat something, it's because you want emphasis on that. But then you have two things that have emphasis. And it feels off. But anyway, the two fragments in this section is this blue one right here and these green ones. Out of the two, I find the blue one the most interesting, which is minor thirds, that's descending, and I think it's nice how it's connected to what's happening on top, because it's really just mirroring the top note of the thirds. So let's listen to this part, and once again I want you to pay attention when the fragments show up. So that was the second part, and then we'll move on to the third part, which is basically the first and the second part combined. I'd called it the Goldenberg and Schmuyle part. This is where the piece is reaching its high point. And if I highlight the fragments from the previous two parts in this part, you have no problem seeing that the Goldenberg part is in the left hand and the Schmuyle part is in the right hand. And I think it's clever how Mussorgsky switches between the two voices, that he has a melody in the left hand, and then when the melody has a rest or a long note, he switches to the right hand and has some movement in the right hand. It still feels like the left hand is the main melody, but you still get something extra in the right hand when the left hand has a little break. An example of this is the first bar of this part, where the left hand starts with a melody and the right hand stays on the same note, which makes it less noticeable and feel more like accompaniment. But then when the left hand reaches a long note, you get some movement in the right hand. And this happens throughout this part, so see if you can notice it when I play this for you right now. Personally, I think this part is really nice to listen to, and I think it's really cleverly done. So yeah, this part is probably the best part of the whole piece. The last part of this piece is the outro, as you would say in pop music, I guess, but the coda, as we say in classical music. And I'm not gonna say a lot about it, it's just kind of there. I don't love it. It feels a bit detached from the rest of the piece, except the last few bars where you get a hint to the first part again. So let's just listen to the whole piece, and you'll hear the coda at the end, and this time try to pay attention to the fragments and how they work together in the third part. And would you look at that, that's everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I would be super happy if you pressed the like button, and if you enjoy my videos in general, the subscribe button is always available to you. And yeah, I guess I'll see you next time. Goodbye!